So it looks like the meta is not fully resolved. Right now, we have a lot of interesting decks that I want to go over. This weekend, Pocket Mats hosted a tournament with over 300 players, and the top 16 was very interesting, and most of these decks could really impact the ladder. I could say one of the decks has really given me 150 points out of nowhere, and we're gonna go over all the decks I think that are worth going over from the top 16 that you guys could be playing on the ladder, so you guys could start ranking up. So the first interesting deck we have here is the Daycare deck. In my last video on how I got top 100, I did go over this build, but for the people that are getting introduced to this deck for the first time, it's really fast, it's really powerful. You use your baby Pokemon in order to charge up either RCS or Snorlax, and then you have Darkrai sitting in the bench here. So Darkrai is important because it acts like another red in the deck, so you're doing an additional 20 damage to your 130, whether it be with the RCS and Snorlax. When it comes to Pokemon on the bench, you're not really faltering on that aspect because you have too many Pokemon in here in order to fail. So we have Professor's Research, Giovanni, Pokemon Center Lady, Red, and Giant Cape. You also play the Tyrogue because there are situations where you're going to be playing against Oricoro and your best out is going to be Tyrogue combined with Darkrai. You're going to ping for 20 and hit them for 40 with no energy cost. That's the beauty of getting rid of Oricoro, and it works good with Giovanni, so that's why you opt for 2 Giovannis, because Giovanni also hits for magic numbers. 130 plus 10 is 140, and Suicune and Darkrai, they're the magic numbers. So that's why this deck is really strong and it's really consistent. I say you guys should check it out. The next deck right here, which is pretty unique, it is the Jolteon Flareon EX deck. So this deck, you utilize the fire energy, but you're using Pichu instead of Magby, because all you need is one investment of electric energy, and then Pin Missile is doing 40 for each heads you get. That is kind of crazy. It reminds me of Zapdos EX. Zapdos EX needs 4 energy to pop off, but you know, Pin Missile's pretty strong, and for 2 energy investment and going strong into Suicune, you know, and you're only risking 1 point for this play, it's really worth taking a look at. And the deck plays really normal, where Flareon recycles its energy, fire energy, that's whether in the trash, and basically does the same thing, hits for heavy damage. And then you got cards like Red, Eevee Bag to push for game when it comes to Guzzlord or anything that has a lot of HP. And then you're playing all 4 EVs, EVEX and regular EVs. The deck is really strong overall, but I'd suggest you guys try this version. This version did end up top 8ing in Pocket Match tournament. Next up, we have RCS Oricoro Shaman Pichu. I don't know what you want to call this deck, but this deck ended up getting 7th place. This deck plays a combination of electric energy and water energy. So in this deck, you use Pichu to charge up your RCS. It doesn't really matter what type of energy RCS receives, but the electric is there just for Oricoro. Oricoro also only needs 1 electric energy, and this deck wants to heal a lot of damage. So you have cards like Idra and Shaming. Your RCS is basically living forever, and that's kind of important in this deck. You're also running Giant Cape, so your RCS could go up to 160 HP and you're dealing 130 damage, and it's just overall really good. And you play cards like Leaf if you start off the Shaman or the Oricoro or RCS. You really just want to start Pichu in this deck, and did come in 7th place like I mentioned, so it performed really well today. You play your Mars, Cyrus, Repel, and Pokeballs. Yeah. The next deck right here, this deck is amazing. I'm gonna make a separate video on that and posting all my battle videos, but this deck right here plays into the meta really strong. It came in 2nd place, and overall just is just amazing. It's a faster version of Charizard. You don't have to play the Sylveon. Sylveon makes the deck a bit slower, ironically, because you have to play the EVs. So you're investing like 4 additional cards in order to draw 2. Here we're only fitting in 1 extra card, and it's Cleffa. Cleffa is amazing. You start 1 Charmander, and then you can search the Pokeball for Cleffa or anything like that. You're always guaranteed a starter, right? So Pokeball fixes that issue of seeing the Clef or the other Charmander, whatever, vice versa. The deck still plays like Charizard. Once you get him out there for 150 damage, he is a problem. You do deal with Oricoro in this deck with repels, 2 repels, and 1 Charmeleon. So that's basically how you handle it. The only lose condition this deck really has is double Oricoro. Double Oricoro is insane, but you know, once you see that, you lose. But other than that, this deck plays well into the meta completely, really well. So I'd recommend you use this. Again, this boosted me up by 150 points in 1 day. So I'd recommend you guys give it a shot. Next up, we have Guzzlord. This is basically the same deck, but you know, overall, it's the same thing. I had to mention it because it did well in the tournament as well. I'm not going to go into it. There's probably so many other videos. I've covered so many videos on this. You're just using Grindcore and attacking for 120 with Lucamine after follow-up. If it dies, it's just a bulky Pokemon. Next up, another honorable mention. The deck, really, 2 of them came in top 8. You're playing the best 4 Pokemon and the best trainers and supporters. Items and supporters, and it's really good overall. So doesn't take too much, you know, to figure out how good this deck is. Lastly, we have Suicune Greninja that won the event. This variant, you're optimizing using Leaf instead of Boat, but don't let this list fool you. You could definitely use Boat, but like the only reason Leaf is good because you could swap out the Giratina if you start off with Giratina. So there's a lot of like consistencies, you know what I'm saying? But the deck is really powerful. This list ended up winning the tournament today, but overall, I'd recommend you guys take any of these decks that you've seen today on the ladder if you guys are trying to climb up. Like, comment, and subscribe, and we will see you guys next time. Peace.